Hello, and welcome to another weekly reading. I find myself with no power again, so I'm sorry if you can hear the hum of my inverter in the background. And also, this weekly reading is just blowing my mind right now, but we'll get into that in just a second. I just wanted to mention that we've just had very, very potent Cancer new moon. That was very linked to the fixed stars, which I don't know enough about to speak about usually on this platform, but I did watch a very, very fascinating forecast by Astrolada, and this last new moon that we've just experienced over the weekend was very linked to Sirius, which is the spiritual sun of our sun, the sun in our solar system, and also strongly connecting to Aldebaran, which is a very materializing, manifesting lucky star. And then this week we have a slight challenge, also connecting to the fixed stars, where we have Mars and Uranus meeting together with the fixed star Algol, which is a challenging one. So I do want to suggest this week that you just pay a little extra attention. Don't be reckless, don't drive crazily, don't forget to lock your doors, don't do silly things this week. And I generally don't come on and speak too much about negative. I feel like we don't want to allow our fears to find us. So generally speaking, I don't go there, but I just feel like it is worth us being a little bit extra cautious this week and just paying attention. And that's ever more enhanced by the fact that we have 3 out of 4 same cards. It's kind of almost unheard of for it to go that strongly. So when I put my cards back into the deck after reading, I never just put them in together. I separate them. I stick them into the deck in different places. And when these cards jumped out, they literally jumped out as a foursome, 3 of which are exactly the same as last week, and even in the same order that they showed up in last week. So I have no words. So pick a card between 1 and 4, and let's have a look at what shows up. Same. Different. I did just check. I think this card was here last week, so it's moved forward. But in terms of the order of these, oh yes, and we had the Temperance card in the 3 of Swords position last week. But honestly, I mean, these two are exactly as they were, and this one is also following them. So we've spoken, this is a card that comes up for us a lot. And again, with the Death Rebirth card and the 3 of Swords card, this is also why I felt I should definitely mention that we need to be a little bit cautious this week, because we do have a challenging dynamic. Mars is a planet of war, of fire, of feistiness, of intensity, and he's often referred to as a malefic. Personally, I don't really like to think of planets as good or bad, but he does bring up certain challenges. And then Uranus is about revolution and change and freedom and shift and shocks. So if you put those 2 planets, which do bring kind of an intense energy to them, with an intense star simultaneously, and I really feel like we'll feel this for the majority of the week, but it's probably going to be more towards the end of the week. And then we get these 2 cards. Something is definitely ending, and there is going to be a level of grieving around this, and that's really important for us to do. I feel like last week I also jumped into the middle of the reading and just trusting that whenever we're very guided. So this does feel like a focal point of this reading based on the astrology. And then, of course, we have our wise king. He's saying, don't stop being passionate. Don't stop being dynamic and creative, because he is fiery. He does represent the sign of Leo. And Mars is a more sort of a fiery Aries-related sort of planet. Aries and Scorpio actually are ruled by Mars. And this is a very Scorpio card, the Death Rebirth card. So you can see we've got this intense Martian energy coming through, but it's also saying that doesn't mean you should stop being passionate, enthusiastic, dynamic, ready to make the changes you need to do, but just do it in a grounded, kingly way. So if we think about a knight, he might be a little bit too quick to jump on his horse and gallop into battle without actually strategizing sufficiently, because he's a knight and that's kind of his role. Whereas the king is wiser, more grounded, and therefore I think that is just our big note for this week. Don't be rash, don't be brash. Think about it, strategize. That doesn't mean that you should dim your light. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do the things you plan to do in any way. Just do them with a level of maturity and groundedness that we get from a king energy. And then, of course, we are going to have to accept that there is something that is going to change, something that, if it hasn't already, might come more suddenly than we would have expected, more intensely than we would like, but it's for our good. I mean, that doesn't always feel so in the moment, but if we try to always just face everything that comes our way with a curiosity about what's the lesson in this for my soul, and that is even with grief, because this is a grief card. So it may indicate loss, and that may be loss of someone to transitioning, to dying, or it may be the loss of a relationship, or it may be the loss of a job or a pet. It could be so very many different losses, and obviously the spectrum of intensity for a loss to from death to losing a job, either whatever that loss is, there is also a personal ego death. And I think this is really spoken to in all of these cards. So whatever the loss is that we experience this week, it's going to impact part of our ego self, because we will more than likely be attached on some level to that, whatever the loss is, being part of the story of who we are. I'm just trying to think of an example to give. If you're very attached to what you are in your work, I am who I am because I have that job, because I have that relationship, because I am that person's daughter or mother or whatever it is. So this is where we have to go, okay, there's an ego death happening here as well, an internal shift. I can't totally link myself. I'm so much more than that one part of my identity. Okay, that feels very important. And then I feel like with the 9 of Wands right now, it's kind of also just telling us to keep our boundaries clear, to help us to stay protected behind whatever shield wall we need to put up for this moment. Because when we go through big shifts and big changes, there are times where we need a buffer. We maybe aren't ready to go out. Almost imagine it as being raw. Your skin's been peeled off, and this is not the time for you to go out and be in public with everybody. It's only a time for you to stay home and nurture yourself, or to be with the people, your inner circle, closer, intimate relationships. So you are protected and safe if you keep your boundaries up. You are protected and nourished inside this safe space. And I feel like that is probably between the 9 of Wands and the King of Wands, we're seeing this sort of fire circle. I'm seeing it almost as a circle. So the part of you that is dying and grieving is surrounded by a circle of fire that is keeping you protected, that is keeping you in that circle, in that portal of change, and able to take the time you need in the safety and protection of the Ring of Fire. And the Ring of Fire is really, because this is also obviously a fire card, you can see that her main wand here is lit, but you can also see in her face a defiance. Like, I may be down now, I may look like I'm down, I may be grieving, I may be vulnerable, I may be exposed, I may be raw, and really seeing it as if someone out in nature. And the fire circle is kind of protection from the wolves, because right now you cannot fight, you cannot run, you just need to be very present with what is going on. And that fire circle gives you the time to do that before you need to make your next plan. Because yes, there are wolves, and wolves are very spiritual animals, and then they're showing up for me in my mind's eye right now. And maybe we're just not quite ready for that level of awareness. We're not quite ready to be devoured. Let that part of our ego be devoured by the wolf, allowing ourselves to first just toughen up that new raw skin, if you get my many metaphors that are coming through here. But yes, she has a level of defiance. Like, just because I seem like I'm down now doesn't mean I'm down and out for good. I'm just taking a moment. I'm taking a beat. And that's exactly where we need to be. So being very gentle with ourselves this week, being a little bit more responsible and taking responsibility for our choices and our actions, being a little more cautious and aware of our environment and of the feelings in our body, trying not to rush. I really recommend trying not to rush if possible, and I'm speaking loudly to myself because I'm a rusher. And just pausing, being present, listening to your inner guidance, listening to the wisdom of your body, listening to the wisdom of your heart, and following that guidance over your head. We have, this is a head card, this is an air card, and 2 fire cards. And we don't have anything in water, although this has a strong water feeling, and there's no earth. So we are feeling a little ungrounded. And when Uranus, the planet that signifies lightning bolts, is very, very present this week, and we're not earthed, that is a dangerous place to be. That is electrocution. So I want you to think this week, how can I slow down? How can I be out in nature, surrounded by a ring of fire, protected from the elements, but also connected to the earth, grounded, slowing down? What practices can you implement that you already know are useful for you? Don't start a new practice this week. It's not for that. It's a week of going, I know that taking a gentle walk with my dog is grounding for me, or I know that doing a guided meditation is grounding for me, or I know that bare feet as I clean the kitchen is grounding for me. Whatever you know works to ground you, lean into that this week. I don't feel like it's a week to test out new tools. I feel like it's a week to lean into the ones you know, and use the wisdom, think of this king, use the wisdom of that level of development of your mastery in whatever tools that you are using. I hope that makes sense. I hope that is supportive. I wish you all a safe and good week. And remember, this is not a personal reading. It is a collective reading. The card number you picked will help you to have a little more guidance as to where the focal point is for you. But if you're wanting more support, please do check the link below. And I very much appreciate all your likes, shares, follows, and subscribes. Thank you for your time.